Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We can do better than that. Shabbat Shalom. I greet you with a word of peace. Shalom. Peace. I greet you in the name of the Elohim El Elyon, known to Adam, our ancestor, and his wife Havel, known to Noah, known to Enoch, known to Avraham and his wife Sari, known to Yitzhak and Rivka, known to Yaakov and his 4 wives, known to Yosef, known to Moshe, known to Aharon, Moshe and his wife Zipporah, Moshe and Aharon and his wife Elishiva, as Elohim, El Shaddai, El Elyon, Adonai, or Yahweh Sevaot. I greet you in the name of peace. How are we doing today? Tov Meod, very good, very good, very good, very good. It's beautiful day, Shabbat. We're here to learn, right? I'm not here to sugarcoat it, spiritualize it, put anything on it that shouldn't be there. I actually want to start out today with a little bit of levidity. You know what levidity is, right? Humor. All right? I'm going to call my firstborn up here. He didn't know I was going to do this. Come on. I want him to tell this joke or riddle. Don't do this to you. Oh, really? I'm going to do it. It's happening right now. Tell them what you have been telling people. It should resonate with you. Okay, we're going to go through this. Talk to them. Okay. Tell them the joke. Ask them the joke. It's a riddle. It's a riddle.
Okay. So the riddle is, what can you and I see every day, but Yah can't see?
What can you and I see every day, but Yah cannot see? Yah sees everything. Now remember, this is a riddle. It's a play on words. What can you and I see every day that Yah cannot? Come on, we got to move for the sake of time. Tell them. You're stumped. Oh, we stumped. We stumped. Okay, tell them.
His equal, because it doesn't exist. We can see our equal every day, but he can't see his because he doesn't have one.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Today, our Hebrew study is going to be on Bamidbar. It is the book of Numbers. It is the book of Numbers. It ranges from chapter 1 to chapter 4, ending in verse 20. Now, I want to preface what I'm getting ready to tell you today, because you will probably be very wise in the information that you're getting today. But as far as present day application is concerned, it really doesn't apply. Okay? Present day application, it doesn't apply. But we don't negate the word of the Most High, because it will apply when we're back in the land. So we have to know about these kinds of things. So it's not for this particular dispensation of time, but it's for another dispensation of time. And also, as a part of this, we also have to call into question some of the mitzvot that are in here today, because they're systemic to the individuals that were in the desert. When we get back into the land, the tabernacle is not going to move. Okay? So some of the duties of the Leviim may or may not be in place. All right? So let's preface it by stating that first, all right? Okay. Let's get into this today. Bamidbar, chapter 1, the summary. This is where you're going to get what you're going to remember today. The rest of this is probably going to be, if you know it, that's good. You'll be a wise individual when you talk to other people. Chapter 1 deals with the census of the men 20 years and older. It also deals, and this is talking about the children of Israel, the heads of each tribe are commissioned to count the children of Israel. So what we have here is that Moshe is told by the Most High is telling Moshe, I want you to go and I want you to count the children of Israel. And what Moshe does is he commissions the heads of each tribe to count their own tribe. Okay? That's what's happening in chapter number 1. Chapter number 2. Wow. Maybe somebody needs to read their own stuff before they put it up here. That's supposed to say the. The Most High orders how the children of Israel are to be organized as they travel. I wish Calvin was here, because this is his chapter. Calvin, for all of you that don't know, is a professional mover. He moves me into my house. And so the Most High, with everything the Most High does, there is an order to it. There's specifics, all right? So in this particular chapter, we're also going to learn about really when we get back into the land where it's going to really be applicable is what we call urban planning. Each individual city has an urban plan where things are laid out and how things are positioned. The Most High is no different. The Most High knows exactly what he wants and where it's supposed to be going when we get back into land and how the people are going to be positioned when they get there. Chapter number 3 deals with these particular topics. The sons of Levi are set apart for the service of the tent of meeting. The Leviim are assigned to their duties. Now, let's go over this real quick, okay? I can't assume that you understand what the positions and roles are of the Kohanim and the Leviim. Are you clear about what a Kohanim is? A Kohanim is a priest. There is a high priest called a Kohen Gadol. All right? In this particular instance, Aharon is the Kohen Gadol. He has sons that are Kohanim, which are at this particular time, I can rattle all 4 of them off, but I'm not going to. So his sons assist him. So if this was the Mishkan and we were operating as the children of Israel, the rabbi would be the Kohen Gadol in this house. So his sons would be his Kohanim, which would be Kevin. The Leviim would be me and John. We assist the Kohanim in their duties. Okay? The whole entire tribe of Levi is the Leviim. They've been set apart for the Most High. We good. I see a lot of bobbleheads going on. I like that. Bobbleheads. Yes. We get it. The Leviim are assigned their duties. The Leviim are shown their designated camp areas around the tent of meeting. Remember when I tell you the Most High is very, very specific. It's just not, the children of Israel were this big mass of people that were in the desert. They had assigned seats on where they were supposed to be. Okay? The census of the firstborn males of the 11 tribes, and then the reconciling against the number of Leviim. That also happens here too. There are 3 censuses that are taken in this first 4 chapters, 3 of them. The Most High is asking Moshe, and Aharon already talked about one of them already. I want you to count all of the men of the children of Israel out of the 11 tribes that are older than the age of 20. That's the first census. The second census is I want you to go in, I want you to count all of the Leviim that are the firstborn. Firstborn of the Leviim, or firstborn of the men, I shouldn't say the firstborn of the men of the Leviim. It is all of the Leviim men. That's the second census. And not in this particular order. Third census is we're going to count the firstborn of all the children of Israel. So 1, All the men out of the 11 tribes that are over the age of 20. 2, all of the Levim. 3, all of the firstborn of the children of Israel. There's 3 censuses that are being taken in these 4 chapters. Okay? All right. Last chapter, chapter 4 in our overview. Aharon and his sons are told to disassemble the tent of meeting. And the descendants of Kahat, the tribe of Levi, are designated to carry out the articles of the tabernacle or / the tent of meeting. That's what we find in chapter number 4. Like I said, most of this information that's going to be presented today is not really applicable for now, but it will be in the future. And if the Most High decides in the future, when we're back in the land, he wants us to move that tabernacle or the temple, there's a certain group of people that have to do it. Amen? Amen. All right, let's get into this a little bit. Did anybody read these first 4 chapters? And I look dead over there at John. Nobody read it? Okay. I would encourage you to get back into reading. Okay? I got to make this public announcement, this PSA, public statement, public announcement, whatever, however you say it. I'm butchering it. Get back into reading. Spend some time, put your phone down. Stop looking at Sports Center. Stop looking at the soap opera. Stop looking at your favorite show for at least a half an hour and do some reading. Okay? People don't tend to, when's the last time? See, people don't like reading because it's not something that you're trained to do. When is the last time you actually took a reading course? You took an English course. You take math courses. When's the last time you learned how to read? The last time you probably had a reading course was probably when you were 12 years old, when you were in grammar school. And you read probably at the speed as you think. Right? When you sit there and you read to yourself, your teacher says, read something, read to yourself. What did you end up doing? You ended up reading, and the voice that you're hearing in your head, that's how fast you're ended up reading. So you don't get any faster than that. So there's techniques to help you read faster. If the last time you took a class to read was when you were 12 years old, it's time to brush up on those reading skills. You'll be able to do it a lot faster, get your brain moving, get you back into some regiment. A good place to start is with this book called the Tanakh. Anybody heard of it? Anybody heard of the Tanakh? Torah? Good place to start. Okay? All right. Let's get into this a little bit. As we always do, we go through a little bit of Hebrew. For those of you that are new in here, this is going to go by very fast. Can anybody tell me what that word is up there? Okay, so I had a word up there. When I said at the beginning, I said this is coming from the book of Bamidbar. That's not how you actually say it. It's Bamidbar. Okay? In Hebrew, you roll your R's. We do the same thing every single time that I get up here. C plus V equals S. It's the consonant plus the vowel equals the sound. In Hebrew, we read from Yamin to Shmol. We read from right to left. Okay? So we start at the top. This is a bet. If you know the name of the character, you know the sound that it makes. And when I talk about, for those of you that are new, when I'm talking about a consonant, this is a consonant. 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 The dots and lines are the vowels. Okay? So we have to add the consonant plus the dots or the lines, which are the vowels that give us the sound. Let's go through it. We know the first one is again, we're reading this way. We don't read left to right. This is not English. First letter is a B. Makes a B sound. What's underneath it? It's a schwa. We have a rule for the schwa. If the schwa is being preceded by a vowel, then it does not talk. If it is not being preceded by a vowel, then it speaks. Meaning, this makes an S sound. Charlotte, what's the next letter? Mem, very good. It makes a M sound, very good. I'm writing it big for a reason. So it's this guy right here. We have a dot underneath that. That makes an E sound. That little dot. Now, let's see, I'm picking on people today. John, what's the next one? What's this character here? Yeah. Dalet. It makes since we know it's Dalet, it makes a D sound. Okay? There's a schwa underneath that. What did I just tell you the rule was? If it's being preceded by a vowel, then it does not talk. So what we're going to do to designate that is we're just going to draw a little line like that. Just cut it off. Stephanie, what's the next letter? Ask your partner. It's a bet. Very good. Let me erase this. I'm picking on you. I'm glad to see you. It is a bet. Makes a B sound. What's underneath it? I don't want you to look at that little swoosh that's underneath there. That is a patah. It's a little line. It makes the ah sound. Very good. Last consonant. Keish, what is that? That is a resh. Very good. I don't need to do this anymore up here with you guys. You guys know how to read Hebrew. It seems like this is really remedial now, huh? It is an R. All right. Bamidbar. What do you think Bamidbar means? In the wilderness. Doesn't mean numbers. Okay? It means in the wilderness. When they were in the wilderness, this is what happened. All right? I mean, very good. Very good. Let's get into this. In the second year, in the second month, on the first day of that month, which was what? What is the first day of the month in Hebrew? It's called a Rosh Chodesh. It's a new moon. All right? I'm telling you, you guys are, this is like Ruth Chris in here. You're getting some choice meat in here. This is not this watered down, We study. All right? Rosh Chodesh, first day of the second month of the second year, the Most High spoke to Moshe in the Sinai desert, and he told him, he says, listen, I want you to take a census of the entire assembly of Israel, and I want you to take that census of all the individuals that are 20 years and older that can do military service. Why did he say that? Why did he throw that military service in there? Because there is a mitzvot that goes along with that. Okay? Anybody know what that mitzvot is? Commandment. There is a commandment if you are eligible for military service, there is a commandment and a stipulation that goes along with it. Oh boy, let's get it. Devarim 24:5 says, if a man has recently married his wife, he is not to be subject to military service. He is to be freed from his external obligations and left at home for 1 year to make his wife happy. So out of all the children of Israel, I want you to count everybody that's 20 years and older who's not married in their first year. Let me translate that for you. Because everybody else has to do military service. Okay? So what does that tell you? So when we're not counting everybody. All right? There's a number that's out there. Matter of fact, I'll get to that in a second. Each clan was counted, like I had mentioned before. They had commissioned the heads of their tribes to go ahead and count each of the men that were over the age of 20. So Moshe and Aaron went to Reuven, the tribe of Reuven, went to the chief and said, you are in charge of counting all the men that are over 20 years old and have military service. All right? Did that for every single tribe. Now, let's do something real quick. I'm going to ask you a question. Raise your hand if you can name all 12 tribes of Israel. Raise your hand if you can name all 12. Okay, let me do something real quick. I beat up Christians a lot. Okay? I beat them up. Sometimes I chastise. We are all grown adults in here, and I'm saying this out of respect to all of you. You cannot boast about being a child of the Most High and a part of the children of Israel, and you don't know who they are. If you get to the point where somebody challenges you and said, you're part of the children of Israel, who are they? Is you going to give me the blank stares that you're giving me now? It should be rattling right off of your tongue. If I asked you who your brothers and sisters were, you wouldn't be saying, oh, let me go to the book and let me see what they are. You wouldn't do that. Or let me go to ask dad and mom who in the world my brothers and sisters are. You wouldn't do that. You are part of the children of Israel. We should know their names. Okay? I'm chastising, but at the same time, I'm just trying to strengthen us because this is foundation. Hebrew 101. It's 101. So matter of fact, let's just get it. Yaakov had 4 wives. You do not have the children of Israel unless you have 4 women. Do you know who those women are? Let's do the fundamentals. If we got to do the fundamentals and abandon the rest of this teaching, let's just get the fundamentals down. So, Yaakov had Bilhah. Let's write that. Bilhah. That's 1. Leah. That's another one. Rachel's another one. And who's left? Zilpah. Zilpah's left. Now, if you don't know this, you should be writing this down. If you got a device, it should be in your phone as a note, okay? Or if you don't have any of them, go get a stone tablet from outside and get you a nail and start putting it in a stone tablet. Do something. Hebrew 101. Rachel's slave girl was who out of that? I heard it. Good. So that means that Leah's slave girl was who? Zilpah. Okay? We have all 4 women. All right? Like I said, I am so thankful that we have established in here that this is a place of teaching. We're not spitting, rolling down the aisle, picking a bale of cotton, doing all that kind of stuff. If we don't know the fundamentals, there's no reason for you to get out there and boast about whatever, because I'm going to tell you what, these Ashkenazis will come in here and torch you. All right. Let's get them all. For sake of not butchering the spelling, I'm just going to abbreviate them, okay? Let's start with I heard that. Somebody said I'm out here talking and I can't spell it. At least I admit it. I can't spell them, but I know who they are. All right. And I do have Google and a spell check. So if you need me to write it down, I got your hookup. Anyway, first, no. We're going to do this the right way. All right? Leah. Who were her sons? Come on. This is Hebrew 101. This is foundational stuff. Reuben. All right. So we're talking about Leah right now. All right. We're talking about Leah. Nuh-uh. Leah was, I spelled that backwards. I'm just messing this all the way up. Let's try to have some better penmanship here, sir. Yeah. Now, her sons, Reuben. Just going to write Reu, right? Second son was Shimon. Third son, Levi. It's where we get Moshe and Aharon and the priesthood. Fourth son, Yehuda. Fifth son, Issachar. Sixth son, Zebulun, or I should say, Zebulun. Zeb, Z-E-B. Zebulun. You can remember it this way. Leah had half of the children of Israel. That meant that every other wife after that had two apiece. Can we remember that? Leah, his first wife, had 6. The rest of them had 2 apiece. All right? Now, let's deal with that. I'm going to erase this right here so I can have some more room. All right. Her slave or servant girl was, who did you say? Zilpah. Who did Zilpah have? Gad and Asher. Okay? Gad and Asher. We come to his love, the woman that he wanted more than anything else. Her name was Rachel. Rachel had 2 sons. They are probably the easiest out of all of them. One of them was the viceroy of Mitzrayim, which was Egypt. What was his name? His name was Joseph. The baby who Joseph said when he saw him from Mitzrayim, he cried because he saw his blood brother. He cried and he wept. He couldn't contain himself. Was Benjamin. Very good. You see, you knew them. You just needed a little prodding. Last one. Who was her slave girl? Bilhah. I did that every single time. That is terrible. This is what you don't. This is, you know, this you can see a person that types all the time when you ask them to write. Bilhah. She had the last 2. We're missing the last 2. Dan and Naphtali. Naphtali. You should be able to say, okay, the children of Israel who we belong to consist of Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, Gad, Asher, Joseph, Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali. We good? Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Hebrew 101. We need to know this for various reasons. But getting back to teaching, each one of these tribes, and I've got 2 of them missing up here. Issachar should be over here. And so should Zeb. The 6 are over here. So Moshe and Aharon are commissioned to go to the heads of each one of these tribes and say to them, listen, I want you to go and count the men that are over the age of 20 that can do military service. And that is exactly what they do. And that's the beautiful thing about how you see the beauty of how Moshe writes scripture, is he always says, this is what the Most High told me, and then this is what we did. We did exactly what the Most High asked us to do. When they counted all of the men that were over the age of 20, I keep saying that, it's like sound like a broken record, there were 603,550. Now I'm going to ask you a question. It should be very easy. Was that all of the men in Israel? No, that was not. And I want you to keep in mind that when he's commissioned to do this, he's told to leave the tribe of Levi out. So 603,550 men over the age of 20 for military service is only 11 tribes, not 12. And some people, if you want to get technical with me, can say there are 12 tribes, there are 13 tribes, there are 14 tribes. Why would I say that? Because this guy, if you remember, has two tribes split out of him, Manasseh and Ephraim. We cannot forget about those two because they're going to come up. Okay? So you could argue and say, well, okay, there really isn't 12 because if you take away Joseph, then you have Manasseh and Ephraim that replaces Joseph. Or if you want to include Joseph, you can say that they're 14. So there's a sliding scale there. But the 12 that are enumerated on the breastplate of the Kohanim are the 12. All right? All right, I'm going to do a little reading a little bit. The roles of the Leviim. Now, these are the people, again, if I said to you that in here, Rabbi is the Kohen Gadol, Kevin is his Kohanim, and the Leviim are me and John. Okay? So this would be the roles of me and John. The Leviim are given charge, this is an entire tribe of Levi, over the tabernacle of the testimony, its equipment and everything connected with it. I'm going to say that one more time. The Leviim are given charge over the tabernacle of the testimony, its equipment and everything connected to it. They're to carry the tabernacle and its equipment and serve in it and camp around it. That's their job. We are to assist the Kohen Gadol and the Kohanim. We are in charge of the equipment and everything that's connected to it. And we're supposed to camp around. When the tabernacle is moved onward, the Leviim are to take it down and set it up in a new location. Who's supposed to take it down and set it up in a new location? The Leviim. Who's supposed to take it down and set it up in its new location? Who's supposed to take it down and set it up in its new location? Who's supposed to take it down and take it to its new location? The Leviim. Anyone who involves himself is to be put to death. Anybody that involves themselves in taking that tabernacle down and setting it up somewhere else is to be put to death. Put up St. John chapter 2:19. St. John. Not John 1, not John 2, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that John. We're going to go to chapter 2, verse 19. Oh boy, here we go. Let's go up a little bit further. Let's go all the way back up to 13. Let's go up to 13. All right. Okay, it was almost time. Is it back there? It was almost time for the festival of Pesach. What's Pesach? Passover. Is that a Hebrew festival? Okay, so some people are observing the festival of Pesach, I guess. All right, anyway. In Yehuda. Now we got to understand what we're talking about when we talk about Yehuda. We're talking about Yehuda, which is coming out of that southern tribe. We know that these tribes got broken into two pieces. There's the northern kingdom that had 10 tribes, and then you have the other two that are in the south. You've got Yehuda there. You've got a little bit of Levi that's in there, and you've got Benjamin in the south, okay? So we've got Yehuda. So Yeshua went up to Jerusalem in the temple grounds, and he found those who were there selling cattle, sheep, and pigeons. You've heard this story before, all right? And others who were sitting at tables exchanging money. He had a whip, he made a whip from cords and drove them all out of the temple grounds. Are they inside or are they outside the temple? Outside. Okay? Drove them from the temple grounds. The sheep and the cattle as well. He knocked over the money changers' tables, scattering the coins into the pigeon sellers, and he says, "Get these things out of here. How dare you turn my father's house into a market?" The Talmudim, which is his disciples, later recalled that the Tanakh, what is the Tanakh? Why are we quoting the Tanakh? The Tanakh is the Old Testament. They said, remember what's in the Tanakh. He quotes it, "The zeal for your house will devour me." Where is that at? That's in Psalms 110. Okay? So the Yehudians confronted him, and they asked him, "What miraculous sign can you show us to prove that you have the right to do this?" So people are coming to the tabernacle. We all know that we have to, at this particular time when the tabernacle was there, you had to make atonement for sins, right? If you didn't have a pigeon or a goat or a sheep, people would sell you one. So you can make atonement for it, okay? Yeshua didn't like this. So he kicks everybody out, all right? Okay? And so what happens is the leaders come to him and they say what? Who gave you the right to come in here and disrupt people making atonements for their sins? Who gave you that right? And by which, if they did give you that right, show us some miraculous work or sign that proves that you can. Okay? Is that a legitimate question? It's a legitimate question, all right? We got to understand here, when you're reading this, there's two different mindsets that's going on here, okay? There's our former Christian mind and then our current Hebrew mind, all right? We've got to separate the two. What did they say to him? They said, destroy the temple? No, let's back up. Let's back up. He said, what miraculous sign can you show us to prove you have the right to do all of this? Yeshua answered them and said, destroy this temple, and 3 days I'll raise it up again. The Judeans said, it took us 46 years to build this. How in the world are you going to raise this up in 3 days? What did I just get done telling you all? I said, who is able to take the tabernacle down and build it back? The Leviim. He's not a Levite. You can't build something. You can't do that. This is why they're questioning him. They're totally confused now. Totally confused. Okay? Therefore, when he was around, well, matter of fact, but the temple he had spoken of was his body. Why would you give somebody some cryptic answer that has nothing to do with what they're talking about? That has nothing to do with what he's talking about. Like every time I keep trying to bring this up is that every time we get into these issues, the Most High is very emphatic. He's very emphatic. He doesn't speak in parables and he doesn't speak in riddles. He's going to tell you exactly what I want you to do. I want you to go here. When you get there, do this. It's not, I want you to go there and it's some metaphor for something else. It doesn't work like that. Okay? If you are the supposed God that everybody says you are, then why are you talking to the people that are in the temple in riddles? There is no history of the Most High talking in riddles to his Talmudim, or at least, to his disciples. just said the same thing twice. To his Leviim, his Kohanim, his people. All right? Doesn't talk to Israel in riddles. Okay? This is where I had an issue with this, because we're going to go somewhere else with this. Okay? Let's keep going down. It says, therefore, when he was raised from the dead, his Talmudim remembered that he had said this, and they trusted in the Old Testament. You should be thoroughly confused. Thoroughly confused. Why are we believing in the Old Testament? Okay? And what Yeshua said. Now, let's go somewhere else, because I'm going to do this, and I told this to my wife this morning. I said, I felt like what I'm doing up here is bringing out issues about Hebraicness and the dichotomies that come with Christianity. Okay? There was a dear sister here that was here with us. I believe she told her husband this, and I overheard this. Her name is Mary Delia Holman. She told us, you need to stop doing that Christian thing. You need to stop torching it. You need to keep your mouth off of it. Okay? And it wasn't until this week that I realized what she was talking about. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 7. Now, I want you to understand something. Hebrews is correctly named because it's talking to Hebrews. Hebrews is a book that says, if I'm a Christian, I'm going to prove to you Hebrews why Yeshua is who he is. This is a conversation to say, if they heard this particular dissertation that I'm giving, this would be what they would send to me in an email in writing. So you Hebrews, this is what I'm going to tell you, okay? We don't necessarily know who the author of Hebrews actually is. There's speculation that the Apostle Paul is the writer of Hebrews. After the Reformation period, that cannot be confirmed. So it's still up in the air on actually who he is. Let's put Hebrews chapter 7 up there. And actually, I'm probably going to go down halfway. Let's maybe go to 15. What you got to know at the beginning of Hebrews chapter 7 is there is an individual that they liken Yeshua to. His name is Melchizedek, in the order of Melchizedek, like them old bishops in the order of Melchizedek. All right. Melchizedek, does anybody know who he was? He was a king. What else do we know about him? Melchizedek wasn't a Hebrew. He was not a Hebrew. Melchizedek, if you read in, I believe, Bereshit, somebody check me on this, Bereshit chapter 4, I believe. We have the issue of Melchizedek, and Melchizedek is one of these kings, not chapter 4, 14, we're too early. Chapter 14, Bereshit 14, that's where it is. What happens is Avram at the time, his brother Lot gets captured. What Avram does is he says he gets skilled and trained men that know what they're doing with that shotty, with that half piece, with that shank, and what they did. Oh my gosh, my days of working at Folsom Prison. Goes out and gets his brother back by force. The kings hear about this. One of the kings that comes out and meets him is the king of Sodom. You've heard of that place, Sodom and Gomorrah. All right? One of the other kings that came out was the king named Melchizedek. And Melchizedek blessed Abraham. Well, Avram at the time, his name hadn't been changed. And while he's blessing him, the text says, and this is where we get Yahweh the Most High, because it's Yahweh El Elyon. It says that Melchizedek was a priest of Yahweh El Elyon, which is Yahweh the Most High. He wasn't a Hebrew, but he was a priest of the Most High. Understand that foundational piece, because when you get to this part over here in Hebrews, and they say Yeshua is like the order of Melchizedek, okay? The order meaning this: you don't have to be a Hebrew to be a priest. That's the foundation of what they're talking about in Hebrews chapter 7. You don't have to be you don't have to be a Hebrew in order to be a priest. Let's read it together. Okay. It becomes even clearer. This is why I'm not going to get on Christians anymore, because at this particular point, if a Christian brought this up to me, it's a mute point. Because this is what they're establishing, that they are a totally different religion. This is where you get, this is a whole different thing. This is where you get, that stuff has been done away with. We don't have to do any of it anymore. Let's talk about it. It says it becomes even clearer if a different kind of Kohen, if a different kind of priest. Why are we talking about a different kind of priest? Because one like Melchizedek, who wasn't a Hebrew, but he followed the Most High. So if a different kind of priest shows up, one like Melchizedek, one who becomes a Kohen, not by virtue of rule of the Torah, saying he can become a priest, but he doesn't have to follow Torah. Concerning the physical descent by the virtue of the power of an indestructible life. That means he's basically saying this: he can become a priest, and the reason he's a priest is because he can never die. That's why we're saying Yeshua is God. That's why we're saying Yeshua is a priest. Yeshua is God, and Yeshua is a priest because he cannot die. You should be. You are a Kohanim forever, to be compared with Melchizedek. This is, again, we're establishing the grounds to say Yeshua is a Kohen Gadol. Everybody in here knows from Hebrew 101, you cannot be a Kohen Gadol unless you are a Levi. He is from the tribe of Yehuda, descendant from David, supposedly. Okay? So it's not in the same tribe. You have to be from the tribe of Levi. So if you're not from the tribe of Levi, who's the example that we're going to use to establish you as the Kohen Gadol? We're going to use Melchizedek. You got it? Okay. Thus, on the hand, the earlier rule is set aside because of the weakness and inefficiency. For the Torah did not bring anything to the goal. It says it right there. The Torah has nothing to do with anything. Get rid of it. It's weak and inefficient. So you don't have to follow it because it's weak and inefficient. And on the other hand, a hope of something better, which can be considered as Yeshua, which they're talking about, is introduced, though which we are drawn near to God. This is how it's established. Okay? It is bolded in your face. You do not have a rebuttal after that, because what you're saying is that by way of using, and this is the funkiest thing on the face of the planet, Christians, let me just talk to you for a second, Christians. Let me just reason with you for a second. I am going to do my best not to come across the street anymore to bring this stuff out. If you stop coming across the street over here and using our text to establish your doctrine, stop it. Stop doing it, okay? Because two places you just quoted, Bereshit 14, and you quoted Psalms 110 to establish this in Melchizedek and then turned around and said the Torah is weak and inefficient and shouldn't be used. So why are you using a weak and inefficient text to establish your Jesus? It makes no sense. Your witness. All I am trying to do is trying to get us to understand what we've been preaching and teaching all along, that this book that we study, which is the Torah and the Tanakh, is written about you. It is written about a people. It is written about understanding that the Most High, El Shaddai, is in charge. We have a problem with this because we said this in this podcast that are going to be coming out pretty soon. Is that the problem that we have is that we live in a fantasy and reality at the same time. Understand? We come to church service every single week and we live in this fantasy where we believe that we live in a theocracy. Okay? We believe that we live in a theocracy, but then the reality hits when you walk out of those church doors and you live in a democracy that says the people have the ability to change things. And you apply that same thought process to the Most High. You understand? It's to the point where you can say, we as the people pick and choose that we can eat pork. We the people choose to not worship on the Shabbat. We the people choose not to do any of these mitzvot. Because that's what a democratic republic does. And that's what you live in. You live in a democratic republic where the people rule. And so you take that same mentality and you bring it into church. When actually you live in a theocracy, if you say that God is the head and the author of your faith, then what God says does not change. You don't have the ability to tell the Most High, we're not doing that anymore. Or for that matter, give it to somebody like Peter who decides that for the most unequipped person out of everybody, how in the world would you give it to him when he just sat up and denied you 3 times after he didn't heal people in your name, after he didn't walk around and cut people's ears off for you, being your personal bodyguard? I don't know when the Most High commissioned a security team to come around and protect him. The Most High don't need that. He doesn't need that. Okay? Understand. The Most High is absolute. And that's it. Now that I've started my teaching, let's get into my monologue. Let's get into the teaching now. Now that we're all friends. All right, let's move on. Had to take a little rabbit trail there. Chapter 2, and I got to go to chapter 4. This is going to go quick. That was the warm-up. Actually, that was the warm-up and the thunder and the finale. So... Chapter 2. Chapter 2, we get into this issue, we're back in Bamidbar, we get to this issue of planning, urban planning, and how the Most High wants his camps set up around the tabernacle itself, okay? And everybody is supposed to be under their own banner. Now, this whole entire deal, this is going to come back because this is advanced. I wouldn't say advanced Hebrew, but it's a little bit more advanced. The average Joe would not know this. Okay? This is the tabernacle. Think about you're looking down on it from a bird's eye view. This is the east. What would this be? This would be the south. This would be the west. This would be the north. Would you not believe me if I told you that each one of them tribes had a place they had to be? They had an assigned seat around that whole entire. There's a circle within a circle around the tabernacle, okay? And we're going to talk about that real quick for just a couple seconds. All right. To the east, the Most High said, this is who I want encamped around the east, but the stipulation is I want them at a distance. They cannot be close to the tabernacle. So take this group of people, and I want you to put them on the east side of the tabernacle, but put them at a distance, okay? So this would be the entrance gate. You come in through here, and then you have the holies of holies. You have like the table and the menorah and the showbread, and then you out here you've got the altar, and you got the water basin and all those things that are in the tabernacle there. We all know that, right? So on the east side, we've got these individuals here. We've got Yehuda is out here. We've got Issachar and Zebulun is on the east side. All right? Out of those individuals, the men that were counted in the census were 150. Ooh, that's not correct. That's 180,400. 186,400. 186,400. 3 times as nice, 186,400. All right? Now, to the south, we have Reuven, his brother Shimon, and Gad are to the south. To the west, now let me go on before I go that. It's 151,450 men were counted out of those three groups. Okay? Now, to the west, we have Ephraim, Manasseh, and the baby. Who's the baby? Benjamin. He's on the west. Okay? Out of that group of individuals, there's 108,100. Last set of group of people was Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. Okay? That's how they were encamped around the tabernacle. Now, when it was time to move, I wonder if I have any moving contractors in here. I wonder if I have any moving contractors in here. I wonder where they are. When it was time to move, just like a good moving track contractor, he'll go ahead and say to his crew, you take the washing machine, you take the bed, you take this, you take that. Okay? And there's going to be an order upon which we move. Okay? You just don't do things in a cattywampus order, because when you comes time to pack that truck, you want it done a certain way. Don't take my word for it. You're validating everything I'm saying. Now, know this, and this is going to complete chapter number 2, because this is all chapter number 2 talks about. When it's time for them to move, they move in this order. Yehuda, Issachar, and Zebulun go out first. Who's behind them, or who didn't I mention? The Levites, the tribe of Levi, go out next. Okay? It's enumerated, and then when you read the scripture, it says, it goes Yehuda, Issachar, it says to the east, and then it goes Reuven, Shimon, and Gad, then it goes Ephraim, and then it goes Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. So it goes in this clockwise motion. Now, between Yehuda and Reuven leaving, Levi is leaving too. So consider this. The east side moves, the Levi'im move behind them, and then we have Reuven, and then Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin, and then Dan, Asher, and Naphtali come right after that. So we all know, and the rabbi said this before, we all know that who's leading the charge? Yehuda leads the charge, and who has our rear? Dan. Good. Very good. Now, again, out of all these individuals that were counted over the age of 20 for military service, it was 603,550. Chapter number 3. Should the singers go first? That means Kevin has to lead the way? Oh, man. That's going to be a good thing. That's good. Where the drummers at? No, I'm kidding with you. John, they don't talk about us. All right, chapter 3. These are the descendants of Aharon. It starts off that way because we're actually going to get into what Aharon and the Levi'im are going to have to do to break this puppy down. This is more of like a move. Chapter 3 is like we're moving now, okay? When we go to our next spot. Again, remember this, because when we get into the land, this is really not applicable for now. When we get into the land, I am saying that my mind says that tabernacle and that temple is going to be stationary. It's not moving anywhere. So these particular set of mitzvot are systemic and specific to being in Bamidbar, which means in the wilderness. All right. So the sons of Aharon are who? Nadav, Avihu, Itmar, and Eleazar. That's how you say that. 2 of them died, Nadav and Avihu, because they offered strange fire. They went in there and they did something they shouldn't have done. They jumped out of the protocol of the Most High. And that's enumerated and talked about at the first part of chapter number 3. I'm going to read something to you real quick. The Most High said to Moshe, summon the tribe of Levi and assign to Aharon and the Kohanim, assign to them Aharon the Kohanim, so that they can help him. Again, the Levites' job is to help Aharon and the Kohanim. They are to carry out the duties and the duties of the whole community before the tent of meeting and performing the service of the tabernacle. They are in charge of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting to carry out the duties of the people of Israel connected with the service. Assign the Leviim to Aharon and his sons. That means that we are assigned, again, if this is in here, and we're using the example of the Kohen Gadol and the Kohanim, John and I are assigned to Rabbi and Kevin. All right? The Leviim, one responsibility in regard to the people of Israel is to serve Aharon. You are to appoint Aharon and his sons to carry out the duties of the Kohanim. Anyone who involves himself is to be put to death. That's the second time we've heard that. The Most High is talking to us like we're children. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? You're gonna hear that. If you keep listening to the podcast, you're gonna hear that one come up again too. Most High tells you, just like a good parent, what I expect out of you. And if you break this law, this is what I'm gonna do. The Most High said to Moshe, I have taken the Leviim from amongst the people of Israel in lieu of the firstborn of the womb among the people of Israel. The Leviim are to be the Most High's, the firstborn males of the Most High, because the day the Most High killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, the Most High separated himself all the firstborn males of Israel, both human and animal. The Most High said to Moshe in the Sinai desert, take a census of, here's that third one. Take a census, or it's the second one, excuse me. Take a census of the tribe of Levi by clans. Do you know who the clans of Levi are? They are Gershom, Kahat, and Merari. I'm going to get y'all to the point where y'all rattling this off. Boom, it's coming right off you. We got to get there. Listen. Gershom, Kahat, Merari, Gershom, like they do. Oh, gosh, I guess that joke didn't go over all that well. I was trying to do something with the Kung Fu, how they sit down out there practicing. Boom, 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 boom. That's where you got to be with it. Practice, practice, practice. I want y'all out there when you got to do battle and you know all this stuff, they're going to be looking at you like you're looking at me now. Huh? You know what he's talking about. I don't know if I want to mess with him anymore. Or it appears to be what he knows what he's talking about. So they're all going out by their clans. So when I gave you this example over here, what did I say? I said the tribes of Levi go out. And then they're going out by their particular tribes. They're going out by Gershom, Kahat, and Merari. Okay? Again, I just want to keep this into perspective for you guys. This is dissertation. This is backup. This is foundational stuff. We can't use this right now. This is just going to make you a juggernaut. Okay? Let's talk about these three guys real quick. Gershom. Out of Gershom, he's counted 7,500 men. They are to camp on the west. Now, I need to do something here. And, oh boy, I need to do something here. This might take a second. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's take all these guys out. All right. So, we go all the way back to this. Now, you understand that there's a circle around the tabernacle for the children of Israel. Inside the circle, there are the Leviim. So think of this big circle out here as all those names that I just enumerated. And then inside that circle, the Leviim are encamped around the tabernacle. That's how that looks, okay? So on the west side, Gershom, is out on the west side. They're all Levites, okay? Out of them, 7,500 people. They are in charge of this. They're in charge of the tabernacle itself, the inner lining, the inner and outer coverings, the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting. Think about the tent of meeting and picture this in your head. I apologize, I should have put the picture up there so you could visualize what they're taking down. But they have the curtains, they have the screen for the entrance of the entrance of the courtyard and its surroundings, the tabernacle itself, and the altar and all of its fixtures, which are the ropes and their items and their maintenance. So what are they moving? They're moving the structure. Okay? They got the structure. Kahat is camped to the south. Right? Did I write that right? Yeah, I did write that right. Kahat is to the south. Okay? Real quick pop quiz. Who are the children of Israel in the south? Reuven, Yehuda, Reuven, Ephraim, and Dan. Good. All right. Out of the folks in Kahat, there were 86,000 that were counted. They are in charge of the ark, the tablet, the menorah, the altars, the utensils for the Kohanim, the curtains, and everything involved in the maintenance of these things. So they have the furniture. They have the furniture, all right? Again, out of those group of people, there was 8,600 people in that group. Last is Merari. Merari's to the north, all right? Merari had 6,200 people in there, and they're in charge of the frames of the tabernacle along with the crossbars, posts, sockets, and fittings. Again, this is a second group of people that actually are doing structure work, all right? Out of all these people, there are 22,000 Levites. Now, third census that takes place is Moshe is instructed to count all of the men of Israel that are over a month old. All right? Let's go through it. The Most High said to Moshe, register all the firstborn males of the people of Israel a month old and older to determine how many they are. Moshe and Aharon are to take the Leviim for the Most High in place of all the firstborn among the people of Israel. So this is what's happening here. We're going to count all of the Levites, and we're going to count all of the firstborn males of the 11 tribes. There are 22,000 Levites. There's 22,273 firstborn of Israel. I'm losing people left and right. We have to make a reconciliation for the 273 people that are extra. Okay? And the Most High does it this way. Take the Leviim in place of all the firstborn among the people of Israel, and the cattle and the Leviim in place of their cattle. The Leviim are to belong to me. Yahweh says this. Since there were 273 more firstborn males from Israel than Leviim, in order to redeem them, you are to have 5 shekels, 2 ounces, for each of these. Because what did the Most High say? The firstborn are mine. They are his. So since we have more people in Israel than we do in the tribe of Levi, we got to account for that extra 273 people. So since you don't have the people, bring me 5 shekels for all of those folks. That amounted to 1,365 shekels that they brought. That's the end of chapter 3. Okay? If I'm not making it plain, I'm making it clear as mud. I'm doing one of the two. Chapter number 4 in our last chapter starts out like this. The Most High told Moshe and Aharon to take a census of the descendants of Kahat among the descendants of Levi and their clans and their families. This shall be everybody from the age of 30 to 50. Shemot 6 and 16 is where we first hear about Kahat. Kahat is not a new person. We find out about him right here. It says, these are the names of the sons of Levi with the descendants. What did I say? I said Gershom, it's to the south. Levini, which was Levini and Shimini with their families. It says the sons of Gershon were Livni and Shimei with their families. The sons of Kahat, Kahat was to the south, were Amram and Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uziel. Kahat lived to be 133 years old. The sons of Merari, they're your three sons right there. 1, 2, and where's my third one? 3. Okay? I'm only bringing that up to show you that this is not something new. Okay? Now, the tribe of Kahat has these issues of taking the articles in the tabernacle. The articles in the tabernacle are especially holy, right? So what the Most High does with Moshe and Aharon is he says, listen, this is what I want. When we get ready to move, I'm going to go in there and I want to take the Levium. And I want actually not the Levium. I stand corrected. Excuse me, Most High. I want the Kohanim to go in there and I want them to break everything down. Kahat is not, even though they've been placed in charge of taking the menorah, the showbread table, the altar, and the water basin, and the altar and all that stuff, they can't go in there to get it until the Kohanim go in there and break it down. Once it's broke down and it's covered, then they can go in there and get it. The rest of chapter 4, the body of chapter 4, talks about how they're supposed to go in there and cover these things up for the tribe of Kahat. There's a big enumeration in that. Okay, Aharon and his sons. When Aharon and his sons have finished, the descendants of Kahat are to carry them. They are not to touch anything holy, or they will die if they do this prior to this. Who's in charge of this group? There is a Kohanim that's in charge of him. His name is Eleazar. You only have 2 left at this particular time because Nadav and Navi got killed. So Ithamar is not one of them. So Eleazar is the one that's been placed in charge of making sure that this happens correctly. This would be like Calvin placing a foreman in charge of all his people when they start moving stuff out. Okay? All right. The last bit, and I'm done. The last bit of this whole entire piece is to remember Kahat and not to exclude him from anything, because he has a special task of carrying all these things that are in the Mishkan. They to do this, and again, he reiterates, so they will not die. That wraps up chapter 4. I want to leave you again with this. And this issue of what this teaching was about today was understanding, if you don't get anything else out of this, you should know who the children of Israel are first, because you're a part of them. We did some fundamentals, Hebrew 101. Number 2, the Most High is very, very specific. Is not loose with anything. Down to, you are not to break anything down. When it's time to move, we're going to move in a particular order. Things are done in an orderly manner. It is not cattywampus. You should know that about your Most High. He is very specific. You should not get riddles and parables about anything. If you want to know something specific, the Most High will tell you. Okay? That's how this operates. All right? Again, not for this period of time in the future. And if the tabernacle is stationary, these necessarily won't be in play. Amen? Oh, we got through it. It's Bamidbar is one of those. We're getting into the part of Torah now when we start teaching these things about, it kind of gets a little redundant. It kind of gets, I don't want to say, because Torah is not boring. I don't want to use that nomenclature. But it's things that in the beginning where we were talking about Aharon and Moshe and how what was going on in Mitzrayim, those types of things, they won't have a kind of the substance and meat that we have here. Okay? All that's back in the beginning. Bereshit, Shemot. When you get to Bamidbar, and you get to Leviticus, you get to Devarim, it's regurgitation of the same thing. Do these things so things will go well with you, right? So it's going to get a little dry, a little bit. until we go through our next cycle. I want to bless all of you for coming, for not allowing the enemy to keep you away. And I want to say something about the enemy real quick. Because I'm going to make my position clear. I don't believe in an enemy at all. At all. I find it very funny that when people are out there and they say the enemy did this and the enemy did that and the enemy. Listen, let me tell you something about the word. When you look it up in Hebrew, it says the adversary. It says ha-satan. Ha in Hebrew is the. Satan is adversary. Have you ever had an adversary? Makes you think about that a little bit different. I love it when people say the enemy is coming after them because of the fact that they have elevated themselves so high up in the air where you think the enemy, the devil, is sitting around his table having a board meeting about you with his imps talking about we need to come up with the next thing to go destroy somebody else. Nobody's doing that. The devil is not sitting around thinking about you. There's people out there I wouldn't give 2 pesos about. There's people I haven't called. There's people you've blocked on Facebook you wouldn't give your time to. So you think the devil is sitting around coming up with the plan to come after you? No. That whole entire thing needs to be reworked. It is a construct. Little imps with horns and all that stuff. That is a construct that comes out of Greekdom and the Roman Empire. You have to understand your roots of where you are. Your rabbi is getting ready to lay the foundation and the table out on that whole entire thing. Okay? Be encouraged. Enemy's not coming after you. If you did something wrong happened to you in your life, it's because you put yourself in that position. Take ownership for what happened. The enemy didn't go to the credit card, didn't go to Macy's and make you whip out your credit card and get in debt. You did that. The enemy didn't make you fall asleep at the wheel so you ran into somebody else's car. You did that. Okay? Stop living in this fantasy world because you can't apply fantasy world to reality. If I go out and I do something to you, you're going to seek retribution after me. You say, you know what? I assaulted you. You're going to go run to somebody and say, you know what? He needs to make an atonement for what he did. Either send him to prison or give him a fine or do something. I can't go in front of the magistrate and say, I assaulted you. Jesus paid it all. He did it. So just put it on him. I can go free. That doesn't work. How in the world do you apply that on Sunday morning and tell somebody to go put that in their life on every day, in an everyday situation? Doesn't work. Okay? Let's live in reality. You are responsible for your actions. You make atonement for your own sins. Nobody does it for you. If you want to back that up by scripture, go read the whole entire Tanakh, the Old Testament. That's literally, it's going to keep repeating itself over and over and over again. What do you think all the mitzvot for? When you go back and you say, okay, well, I did this. This is the atonement for it. Okay? So with that, I'm going to step off my soapbox and bless you. Bamidbar. This comes from Bamidbar, which is the book of Numbers, which is in the wilderness, the blessing in the wilderness. 6, verse 24 through 5 says, Yivarekaka Yahweh ve'yishmareka. Yahweh yara panav eleka vihuneka. Yisa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam laka shalom. May Yahweh, what? Bless you. And you know what that means. Bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and show you what? His favor. May Yahweh lift up his face towards you and give you, in Hebrew, shalom. I say to you, watching by way of the stream, and all of you here, shalom. Thank you.